You love to do. But I managed to survive. I went to Sault Ste. Marie, and luckily the cost of living there was cheaper. So I found the most expensive luxury 2-bedroom apartment I could find, and it was $600 a month. That was in 2000. So I worked there for about 2 years, and then I came back to Toronto. I missed the city, and I decided to be an actor full time. It was a passion of mine that I was missing. So I got it. I got headshots done. I got an agent. The agent wasn't good. And a friend of mine from high school said to me, hey, I'm working at the movie network these days. I'm an interstitial programmer. Do you want to do that? We're hiring. I said, I don't know what that is. He said, if you know how to operate a computer and you like movies, you're fine. I was like, great. So I went and interviewed. I got this job. I think we're up to $35,000 now in 2002. So that was a big leap, but I'm living in Toronto. That's the last salary I'm going to tell you guys.
From there, they get too outrageous.
Yes, it's just insane. So when I was there, it was a pretty cool job. So movies at the movie network were scheduled at certain times, like 7 o'clock, 9 o'clock, whatever. But if the movie is only an hour and 48 minutes, we've got like 12 minutes to fill before the next one. So you fill it with what's called interstitials. Basically it's commercials for the other movies that we show. So it's movie trailers, but also short films. So I'm basically just kind of doing math, plugging in various trailers and short films to fill in the gaps. But then that evolved into a job where I got to screen a lot of Canadian films and decide whether or not we would purchase them and put them on the air. So that was really neat. I felt like my opinion was expected. I got to think critically. And I also got to write movie reviews for the website. And that was something I'd always wanted to do. So that was pretty neat too. So I did that for a couple of years. We also got lots of cool tickets for the Toronto Film Festival, and we had a movie theater right in the building, and we got free popcorn and got to see movies before they even came out of theaters sometimes. It was pretty neat. It was a cool, perky kind of job. But the actual job of clicking the interstitials, it got pretty old for me after a while, and I missed having a creative outlet. So after a couple of years, I quit. I decided to get professional voice demos done because I'd had the radio experience, get professional headshots done, went and find a really good agent. I put on a suit and I dropped off my demo and headshots in person to a lot of places. And a couple of them called back that day because nobody goes in person, especially now. This is before it was really common to send attachments and stuff. We did have the internet, but it's still a little while ago. This is about 2005, I guess. And then my voiceover career kind of took off. I started being sent out for auditions, and the first few commercials I got. I did some stuff for Toyota. I've been the voice of Tums for a while in Canada. Fights heartburn fast. Yeah, I don't do the tum.
That's a much more important guy.
Yes, it's a much more important guy. He's on life support. He's 108.
They can't lose him.
He's been doing it forever. That's all he does. They feed him Tums and oxygen.
An iron lung.
Yeah, it's an iron Tum.
Smooth.
Strike that from the record. So then, wow, yeah, I guess things just started to pick up, and I ended up getting a couple roles in cartoons here and there, and then started doing some stuff on camera as well.
Well, tell you what, let's bounce around a little bit.
Yeah, sure. We can take questions as well whenever.
Oh, absolutely, we will. I'm a terrible friend. I've not seen most of your work, so I'm just looking through his IMDb right now. Any of you nice folks out here fans of Bakugan? Anyone? All right, a couple of Bakugan fans. Any Beyblade people? Sweet, right down there in the back. Cool. Nice. And My Little Pony. Anyone? All right.
Some pony people.
So I would like to ask you about all three of those.
Okay.
So Bakugan, who are you on that? Explain it to me like I have no idea.
Because you have no idea.
Okay.
I don't.
Okay. Well, this might be a waste of everyone's time but yours. But so Bakugan, they say pronounce it Bakugan now in the new one. That's been drilled in my head.
Okay.
I prefer Bakugan, but don't tell anybody that.
Oh.
So it's a story about, I think it's still our universe. It might be a parallel universe where it's a long time ago, there's a big problem. And Well, yeah, if anyone
Okay.
could do this better than me,
I don't know much about the original. I know about I haven't like watched the original.
Okay.
I watched a bit about it when it came out, but like I know about the new one.
monsters and cards fall to Earth.
Yeah,
The monsters become marbles, and the kids realize we can play games with these cards and marbles. It's basically a toy commercial.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
It's the Mars Chocobot hour, basically.
Dude, half of our favorite cartoons growing up were all toy commercials. It's Transformers. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Transformers.
So how did you get involved with that show?
Well, like most stuff, they did auditions for the voice cast, and I went in and did an audition for Drago, and the casting director really liked it. But they actually hired another guy in town named Lion Smith, who some of you might know. He's done stuff in Bakugan and in Beyblade. His great thing is that he can sound like a very young boy. That's something I can't really do without a lot of work. And they thought for a while they wanted a Drago who was sort of appeared to dance, sort of on the same level, sort of the same age, kind of a young guy. So they tried a couple episodes with it, and it didn't work.
Right.
So then they called and said, the cast director called and he said, I got my wish. You're going to be the guy. And I was like, oh, cool. Kind of trepidatious because I was like, well, you guys have a history of firing guys in this role, so we'll see how it goes. But
You really got the noose around your neck just the whole time.
So the thing that I brought to Drago that I kind of liked about him was I liked that he came from another place, and in that sort of opening where it's the collision of worlds, and he's fighting Naga and a couple of other bad guys. It felt very Shakespearean to me. It felt very high stakes and very serious compared to some of the stuff the kids were doing. Mm-hmm. And so I chose to never use contractions as Drago and just sort of speak with a bit more of a formality. It's basically me with a bit more of a gruffness and a more serious. It's like the Boy Scout version of me, I guess. The Captain America version of me. I don't know.
Sounds like you when you're asking for the check when we're out.
Give me the check.
Yeah.
Yeah, hurry up, I've got places to be. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's probably why I got that. I'm very nice to waitstaff.
He is.
And you should be too. So yeah, that's how I got involved, and luckily they didn't fire me, and geez, I don't even know how many, does anybody know how many episodes of Bakugan there have been?
Just the original series? You're talking
Just the original series.
Gundalian.
Well, yeah.
Oh,
all
wow.
of it. Do you know?
Actinium Surge.
Sure. Like there's like 52 in each season, I think. So hundreds.
Oh my god.
Hundreds of screaming. Ah!
Yeah.
Just so much fire breathing. Like vocal cords are scarred.
Yeah, what is that like to do that kind of really intense thing in the voice booth?
That's the best word for it is intense. There's so much fighting.
Oh, by the way, I think the Man in Black actually has a specific answer for us.
I will have.
Oh yeah, the Man in Black.
I'd assume tiring is a quick word for it.
It is tiring, and it's still fun because I'm very physical when I'm doing voice acting, which I encourage anyone who wants to do it to be, because I just feel like it informs your emotions, and I have a history of doing that in the studio, boosted dragon, and just knock stuff over. Yeah, I probably burst a couple of eardrums, but
Yeah, if you're watching your favorite cartoons and you hear just mic pops, it's him knocking stuff over.
I like to think it's us.
Just for Battle Brawlers, about 200.
200. Jesus
That's
Christ.
just Battle Brawlers. That's nothing anything else. That's just Battle Brawlers.
Yeah, that was the
All
the
four
first
seasons.
Yeah,
Wow, and that's like the original one, right?
Yes.
yeah, it's quite a bit.
These things are amazing.
They are, and I think my vocal cords are just used to it now. I just the screaming, and finally in this new series, not to complain, they finally got to a point where some of the things that I do regularly, I'll get to you in just a sec. They use a bank. So if it's like,
okay.
I'm doing another fire spiral, tell me you got it, and they're like, we got it. It's not that cool. It's like, please. But sometimes it's cut together different, or the stakes are different, and we always watch it first, and I get to decide if I want to do it again, because if the context is different, or we're in a bigger place or a smaller place, I want to make sure it matches the context. Like, it doesn't make sense if we're like, hey Dan, I think we should go in there, and then they reuse, let's go! Like, it doesn't really, it's kind of inauthentic, and I don't want to be that lazy. We only just try to save my voice, because if we do, sometimes now, we'll do 3 episodes in a day in like an hour. And we're burning through this stuff, so we save the screaming till the end.
Yeah.
In case I'm burnt out. And then sometimes I'll do a few screams and I'll like, please tell me you got the rest covered. And they're like, no, we'll come back next week. Okay, whatever. It's never quite that bad. The worst it got, this is a bit of a diversion, and then I'll get it to you. The worst thing, / great thing, was I was in the video game Deus Ex Mankind. What is it?
Mankind Divided?
Mankind Divided, yeah, that's the sequel.
Yeah.
Elias Tufexis is the lead in that. He's a friend of mine from Montreal, lives in LA now. And so for that, I played Czech police officer. So
Everyone's favorite character.
yes, thank you. Which basically means every third cop you meet in the game. And I got to do a lot of fun stuff in that. So a few days was just voice work, just regular voice work. And if you've ever played a video game where you're trying to be stealthy, sometimes you'll see like a guy on the phone or something. So I got to do half of a phone conversation. I'm like, yes? Well, I don't know. Maybe you should call her. No, come on. Maybe you'll meet someone else. It sounds like she doesn't like you. And then, like, that could be interrupted I don't know, I'm just making stuff up. But that could be interrupted at any point by the character just walking in with a gun. And I'm like, wait, he's here! Get down! And, like, but if he's all the way across the thing, like, I can see you! Or if just he can do stealthy things, I think, like drop a pebble or something. I'm like, oh, am I hearing things? Did you hear that? And then I'll be the leader of these guys. You men are idiots. Everybody get their guns out. Or if we don't know where he is and we want to be stealthy, get your guns out. Be careful. Look out for him. So there was a lot of just fun creeping around as this Czech guy. That was pretty fun. So just all these situations. And it's really funny to me to think about if it was a TV show. If it was my face with just different facial hair or wigs or something, hello, yes, I am a new Czech police officer. But with voice, I can change the faces and everything, so it's pretty funny.
I want to play this game and listen to you ordering yourself around constantly.
Sit down, okay. So there was a few days of that, but then there was a day of what they call Onos. Yeah, you probably figured out where the name comes from. So. Some of that, well, there's barks and onos. Barks is stuff like, get down, or he's behind you, shoot, grenade, you left the stove on, things like that. But the other part of it is deaths.
Oh.
And deaths are super fun for about half an hour. After 6 hours, it's less fun. But it was so specific because in these games, like, you know, you can control how you kill people. There's so many ways to die. So he can use an electric gun on you, and it might be a quick burst. Or he might have powered it up, and he holds it till you die. He might throw a grenade that propels you onto a wall, and you don't die till you hit the floor. So for a 6-hour day, 2 days in a row, it gets a little much. And my voice was totally blown at the end of the second day.
Plus, you got to spend 2 days thinking about your own mortality.
Yes, I thought about death a lot. Hold on to that, because I know it relates to this, but I'm going to go back out to what we're talking about to get to what you were going to ask me.
I just wanted to ask you, in the old Bakugan, the relationships between Dan and Drago was like one that was starting off as like, you know, Drago thinking Dan's an unlikable punk kid. So eventually developing into like a really strong trust for like over multiple series, and relationships like evolved and changed and got stronger and stronger. Does that same relationship sort of carry over into Reboot Dan? Or is there a difference? Is it like when you come in the recording booth and says, you know, you're in a scene with Dan now. Do you voice differently? Do you voice like your old Dan?
I treat it the same. Because I feel like this is a known thing, this relationship between Drago and Dan. There are a certain number of people who are watching it who have already seen it. I want to respect what came before. But at the same time, we're introducing these characters to new people. I feel like we kind of hit the ground running. I feel like there wasn't a lot of, hello, human, I am from here. Like, it felt like they were just sort of teamed up very early on, which was helpful. But I feel like in this iteration, they've given Drago a bit more emotional depth. And I feel like there are some more nice, quiet moments between the two. So I feel like I feel like Drago is very much a tactician who is trying to sort of rein in the childish impulses of Dan, but at the same time, there's like a brotherly love between them. Not quite a father-son dynamic, but maybe like a mentor, protege type of
This is
thing.
whole Dan talking about, right?
No, this is both, I think. There's some differences to both characters, but I'm trying to keep it the way he was before. I mentioned before how I never used to speak in contractions. Once in a while, they'll slip them through in the script because it's all new writers and stuff. They just want to write cool stuff. But I try to push back on it and say I want to say it this way instead of I won't say "let us go" instead of "let's go," but. It depends. Sometimes I'll say, I don't think so, Dan, but other times I might say, do not go in there. So, I don't know. It just gives him a little bit of an authority thing. But, it's a really good question. It's kind of complicated because we are early on and they don't have the history, but I feel like they've sort of rushed them to a place. They've very quickly developed a bond, I think. So I don't think we're where we were in the first season in Bakugan. It's more like where they got to in season 2 or 3. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I want to go back to where you were.
Yes, I wanted to just say that it's really great to meet you in person because I grew up with the Beyblade series. And just to meet you in person and it's like, you're the voice of Benkei. It's like, it's just so...
Thank you! Nice to meet you too!
It's just, like,
It's the only profession where that's acceptable, just for me to turn into a different person and say thank you. Well, thank you. Yeah, it's great to meet you too.
I just want to say that it's really great to meet you. Like, you really made my childhood.
Oh, thank you. Well, thanks. Thanks for watching. If it wasn't for people watching, we would have no show, and it wouldn't last as long as it did. These fans of Beyblade and Bakugan are incredibly loyal and incredibly supportive. And I love coming to these things to meet people in person. People don't really recognize me on the street. They don't recognize voice actors too often. So it's great to be able to say, thanks for watching, and for the people to be able to shake hands with me.
Whether you could probably sign this, I brought this with me in like this Beyblade stadium, so it's actually...
Holy smokes.
Afterwards, we'll talk if that's cool, and we'll go through my guy Andre. He's the guy in charge of all that kind of stuff. But we will for sure. We brought photos down here and stuff too to deal with all that stuff after, if that's cool. And we'll probably do it. We'll probably got another 10-15 minutes of talking. Okay. Cool.
I'm just wondering, like, in the original series, what was like the most fun experience you had, like recording an episode?
I never get tired of that, and they think it's an accident every time.
Poor sound guy.
It's
okay.
yeah.
Don't worry.
After a while, they just start taking their headphones off when I walk in. They see me coming. That's a good question. It wasn't too long after I started doing the first one that I went to my first convention, and it was Fan Expo. And that was a huge, crazy experience. The cartoon was still brand new. The fans were super excited about it. There are people of all ages who liked it. And it was pretty new for local voiceover actors to be at a convention, a local convention. So it was neat. I was there with a couple of other voice actors, Sean Mounier, who was in the original Bakugan, Christian Potenza, who was in stuff like 16 and Total Drama. And it was neat to have huge lineups of people come and say, oh my gosh, you're the voice of this. This is so cool. And to have kids come up and say, what do you do? I do this. And they're like, whoa. And some of them didn't really get it. Some of them were connecting the dots for the first time. I met people who were interested in becoming a voice actor, and that led me down a path of becoming a voiceover coach and developing voiceover workshops in town, which I still teach. And I developed voiceover for improvisers at the Second City. So that part of my career turned into a whole thing from meeting people here, and that's still incredibly rewarding to watch people who got to see, oh, this guy can do this thing. This is a career. It looks fun. Can I do it? Sure. I mean, to some level, there's no guarantee of success in any profession. So why not try something that you think is cool? And it's cool that I've been able to help facilitate an education in that. Some people have gone on to do great things with it. Some people just wanted to check a thing off their bucket list and get a tape of them doing different voices, But it's been pretty awesome that now people don't go, I have no idea where to start. I have no idea what to do. Is it possible? And it is, and it's neat to see people develop that way. I think I rambled on past your question, but I hope that helps. Question. And I see you have a question too. Oh, you're just stretching. You're just bored. Okay, cool. Question.
I'm sorry if anyone has already asked before, but
That's okay.
do you two have any experience with the actual game? Have you ever tried it out or?
Yes, the first one and the second one. For the first one, before I came to the convention, I wanted to know more about how it works. So Spin Master Games owns and develops the series and the game. And Sean Mounier and we called them up and said, hey, can we come in and you guys will show us how to play the game?
And just to check, who does Sean voice in it?
He voiced a couple of smaller characters later on, but he was Preus. He was like a purpley blue guy, and then he ended up having like a twin who was like evil Preus. I don't remember what his name.
Oh, Diablo.
There you go. Yeah. So he played him.
Double sound.
Oh, that's cool.
He had this really cool. I can't do it, but he had a cool voice too. What was your question?
You're saying you played the game.
Yes. Oh, yes. So we went to Spin Master. They trained us how to play the game. I'm still clueless at it. I wasn't very good. And I was rolling the Bakugan and hitting the card, and it wouldn't open right away. And I found it difficult. I was a little bit better at Beyblade because it's just a top you spin and throw it in, and then you just bang. It's pretty easy. And then the new one I like a little bit better, the new Bakugan, because you place some tiles down and it's a little bit more tactical. I think off the top, you have a bit more control of how it's going to go. But then you have to roll on top of that, which I still suck at. So I don't play the game much. I played the video game a little because they did a video game, and it was an Activision game.
I played it.
So it's hard. It's really hard. And I'm pretty good at video games, but I was not good at this. So they got us all to voice this, and it was interesting because I think it was out of Chicago. The guy was voice directing, and so some of you might know in the first season of Bakugan, Drago would often say "boosted dragon," so I go "boosted dragon," and then "rah" fire and stuff. And so this guy in Chicago, experienced voice director for video game stuff, he's like, "Can we try one like boosted dragon?" And I said, okay, we need to have a conversation. I don't want to be a diva here, but just so you know, I've been playing this guy for about 2 years, and and he's like, oh, I didn't know, nobody told me, do your thing, man. And he just went hands off, and I was like, good. I didn't want to get into a power struggle with this guy, because I just wanted the game to be good.
Not gonna lie, it sounds like he was trying to direct you to talk the way he talks.
Yes, well, yes.
Your voice for the director sounds like what he was trying to get you to do.
Yes. But yeah, when directors use line reads, they're normally not very good directors. But I hope he's doing well. But yeah, it was pretty funny, and I was just a little worried that I was going to say, "Can I not say it that way?" And he'd be like, "Who do you think you are?" But he went, "Oh, you're him." So that went okay.
It might be a weird question. I'm not sure if you have kids, but if you do, how do they react to the show?
My dog loves it. I leave the house and I just put it on Netflix, and I come back and he looks so happy. He's sleeping when I come home, so I just assume it soothes him.
You get to hear your voice all day.
Well, right. It's like I never left. Good dog! Yeah, I'm sure it's very calming. Suddenly I leave the house and there's an invisible me screaming at him for hours for no reason. No, my dog has not actually heard it. No, and I have no kids.
Have you ever shown it to Helena's little brother?
I've not yet. No,
you probably enjoy it.
I should.
Semi-threefold question. Is there a lot?
Threefold?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are there a lot of places that you can go for the auditions in Canada, or is it a lot of abroad?
Yes. Next question.
No,
I'm kidding. Well, okay. So it used to be we would all go to various places to audition. Sometimes it's the studio that will be recording it or mixing it or both. Sometimes it will be a studio within a giant company like Chorus or Nelvana. But these days, a lot more. It'll happen. We'll do the preliminary auditions from home. So you do a self-tape audition, and then that might be 100 people send those in, and then the casting director will take a quick listen through, and then maybe bring in like 20 people, or maybe 10 for one role, and then they get to play with them and see how they take direction and things like that.
The craziest part of that is that you have a very nice voiceover setup at home, and it's so compact.
It is, yeah. It is not what I would call studio quality. A lot of people actually work from home. I'm a union actor, so I can't do a lot of things that people do online. Like they'll bid on jobs to be the on hold person for Jim's Deli or whatever. There's all kinds of, and it pays $50. Okay, whatever. It's some experience. I can't do that kind of stuff. And luckily, where we're at with the stuff I can do, the union stuff, it predominantly takes place in the studio. They want it to be the highest quality possible. But for auditions, it's pretty good. I have a little microphone. I have a thing called a Chaotica eyeball. It's like a $200 piece of foam. It fits over your mic, and it blocks out all sound around it except what's directly in front of it. I have that on a little tripod, and then I have it plugged into a thing called an Apogee Duet. It's a few $100. I got it from the Apple Store. That plugs into my iPad. I use an iPad instead of a computer because there are no moving parts, so it doesn't make any noise. A laptop that has a hard drive that's not a solid state still makes a bit of noise. Even the ones with solid state, some of them have fans, makes some noise, and you have to figure out a way to cancel that out or have a long cable, put your computer somewhere else. I don't have to worry about that with the iPad. Also, it's very compact. I can take it with me on the road. The only thing is, I don't have a proper booth. So, and I live in an apartment above a busy street. So sometimes in my auditions, you'll hear like a car go by, and then I'll wait and do it. Best time to do it is 3 a.m, but I'd rather not. So yeah, there are various sound studios, and sound studios can do all kinds of things. They do post, which is it's called post because it happens afterwards. They do the final. It can be special effects. It can be audio. It can be color correction. All these things are part of post-production. An audio post house deals with sound. They might be adding songs to the soundtrack. They might be writing and producing a score for a movie, a TV show, a commercial, a cartoon. I've worked with studios that did the mnemonics for the Presto cards on our transit system. It goes ba-doom, like someone had to record that and come up with a rhythm for that and how the notes are spaced out. So yeah, there's lots of that kind of stuff because there's lots of commercials, cartoons, any kind of presentation you can think of that happens on a large scale needs services like that. And so yeah, there's places you will audition, and it's all over the place. For self-tapes, sometimes I've auditioned for stuff that's in LA, Montreal, New York. It's become a little sort of worldly that way. That's not the right word.
I think we're coming to the end of time here, so, and there's like twofold more to this question.
Oh, yes.
You answered another one, so the other thing I'd just say is, you have an agent and whatnot. Mm-hmm. Where is your agent out of? Like,
so I have 4 agents at the moment. So 5. So I have 7 agents. No, I have 5 agents. So I have in Vancouver, I have an agent for voiceover. In Toronto, I have an agent for voiceover, for on-camera, and for on-camera commercials. And in Montreal, I have an agent that handles all of that in Montreal. And there's a little bit of crossover sometimes. Like sometimes my Montreal agent will go, dude, there's this thing in LA you got to be reading for. Get your Vancouver agent or your Toronto agent on it. I'm like, you just submit me and we'll figure it out later. And usually that works out. I've spoken with some agents in Los Angeles, but they prefer that you be there for a while to get introduced to people, which is on my radar. I might move down to Los Angeles in the next year or so, spend half my time there, half my time here, maybe sometime in New York. Those are probably my 3. I'm not a big fan of Los Angeles. New York and Toronto are big. I like those cities because they seem like cities. Yeah, cool.
All right.
Anybody else? Sorry, I just want to make sure. Is there anyone else who had a question who hasn't been able to ask it? You have a question? Yeah.
Yeah. Is any season from the original Bakugan? I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Is season from any season you like from Bakugan Battle Brawlers?
One more time.
Is there any season you like from the?
Oh, that I like.
Yeah, what's your fave, man?
There's an episode in season 4. I'm trying to remember the name of it. Drago's in a battle, and it looks like he's going to lose. He's against like 3 other people. That's the one you were talking about today.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. And what's awesome is it almost looks like he's going to lose, right? But then he evolves. And that next form that he takes is very cool visually. And I just like the story of he sort of went deep into himself and found the strength to overcome the obstacle in front of him. And then he won. He kicked butt. And yeah, that's pretty cool. This gentleman over here actually had that season on DVD and brought it over today and had it signed. Yeah, because that episode was on it. And it was fun. I was like, yes, dude, I remember that episode. That was awesome. And I loved the evolution. I loved every time Drago evolved so we could sell new kinds of toys. Half kidding. But no, I like that the character kept evolving and that often it came from digging deep to find his own strength. I thought that was a really cool thing about it. I like that in Bakugan and Beyblade, people say there's a lot of battling. That's sort of the thing behind it. But what I see it more of is overcoming obstacles and teamwork. Which I think is pretty cool. I like those messages. Yeah.
Do you feel like any of the humor from the original series would not fly today?
I don't know. Do you have any specific things you're thinking of?
Because I remember when I was rewatching the show, just like the first 20 or so episodes, I remember there were a lot of jokes geared towards Bruno, and about her being a girl and girl kind of stuff.
Right. Yeah. That's tough, and that's also tough when you're translating something that came from somewhere else, and not all sort of cultural attitudes, specifically in media, cartoons, and things like that, always translate well. I mean, they had to redo some Sailor Moon stuff over here to make sure they didn't show their underwear and stuff like that. I mean, there's just some stuff that won't fly. And yeah, I think now. I think people are more aware and they're trying to make things more culturally, racially diverse and have people in it of men and women and non-binary gendered people. I mean, some of that stuff is sort of up for debate. I don't think we're at a point where too many cartoons are coming right out and saying this character is trans, but I think they're trying to put it out there to appeal to those people. To appeal to everybody. I mean, that's the world we live in. But yeah, I think you're right. I think maybe some of it wouldn't fly. I haven't gone back and looked at a lot of it. I'd probably wince at a lot of it because I'm not a big fan of the boys are gonna get this done and you girls, you don't know how to play Bakugan. That's crap, right? Yeah.
Sorry, just last question.
Yeah.
How did you feel about them axing most of the female characters in the next iteration of Bakugan?
Well, I mean. That's a tricky question because I feel like they axed a lot of the male characters as well. It's a lot of new cast, and selfishly, when I saw that Drago was still in it, I was like, great, Drago's still in it. But I'm less concerned about the characters they got rid of, and more concerned that there aren't more female characters in the new one. I don't like the idea of a group of 5 guys and 1 token woman. That's not the world we live in. I like the idea. If this is a show we're going to show to all kids, let's include all kids. So yeah, I would, if I had any power, I would definitely bring more women into the picture. I did have a little victory in that regard a few years ago. I cast and then directed the pilot of this really weird animated series called Crack Duck. Yeah, you can find it on YouTube. You can find the whole series on YouTube. And it's really weird, and some of it's dark.
It is and it isn't.
Fun. It isn't as what?
It is and it isn't what it sounds like.
Yeah, he doesn't specifically do crack. He has a crack in his head. But he's also very depressed, and he lives in this weird world. So there's this one character called Zakigix, and it's this sort of floating head, I think with 3 eyes, maybe 2 eyes and something in his head. So it's this floating purple head, and it's sort of like this godlike character who has all these powers and can sort of fix any problem, but is also kind of a jerk and doesn't always fix all the problems. And so Zakigix was going to be a dude. And every character in this show was a dude. And I said, look, I know you got your character models. I can't really change too much about this, but it's a dude show, man. Like, can we make Zakigix female? Like, if you have to do it, just put eyelashes on her or something. Like, and just, I've got this great woman named Merle who would be amazing. She can do this amazing, like, monotone voice, very, very godly, very kind of in charge. And they went for it. So I was very happy. And now this woman who, she was a student of mine, Merle, she's now doing tons of voiceover work. She's non-union, so she does a lot of it from home and stuff. And, you know, I'm not saying I'm responsible for her having that career, but I am very happy that I was able to speak up and be heard to change the gender of this one character. And I think everyone should have the responsibility to do something like that. If you watch a show and there could be more women in it, write in and say, we need more women in the show. If you're a guy, even better. You know?
Well, that's as good a note as any to end on. Just want to say, guys, thank you very much for Jason for coming out and doing this. Thank you guys very much for coming out to this.
Guys.
And if you have any questions that didn't get gotten